Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the language that builds the entire web. It's called HTML, but don't let that fool you. It's not some scary, complicated code. Think of it more like the simple skeleton that gives every single website its shape. You ready to see how it works? Let's dive right in. So, you ever wonder about this? You type in a web address, you hit enter, and bam. A blank screen just blossoms into a whole world of text, pictures, and links. Well, that little bit of magic is exactly what we're going to break down, and it's all thanks to HTML. So here's our game plan. First, we'll cover what HTML actually is. Then, we're going to build the basic skeleton of a web page. After that, we'll start writing on the web, figure out how to structure all that information, and finally, we'll connect everything together. Pretty simple, right? All right, let's get into it. Section 1. What is HTML? We're talking about the absolute fundamental building blocks of the web here. Okay, so HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now, don't let the name intimidate you. The two parts here are super important. Hypertext is just a fancy way of saying links. You know, the very thing that connects all the pages and makes the web a web. And markup language, this is key. It means we're not doing complex programming. We're just marking up a document with special tags that tell a web browser what to do. So the heart of HTML is this idea of a tag. You can think of a tag as a secret note, an instruction that's only for the web browser. The browser reads the tag, follows the instruction, but then, and this is the cool part, it hides the tag itself. So you, the viewer, you only ever see the finished product. And the structure for these tags is incredibly simple and consistent. It's always the same pattern. You have an opening tag, let's say P for a paragraph, then you put your text, your content, and you finish it all off with a closing tag, which looks almost the same, but just has that /. That's it. That's the basic recipe for almost everything in HTML. Okay, moving on to section 2. Let's see how these tags come together to build the actual skeleton of a web page. And to make it really easy to understand, let's think about it like we're building a house. Every, and I mean every single web page has these 3 core tags. First, you have the HTML tag. That's like the plot of land your house sits on. Everything else goes inside it. Then you've got the head. Think of this as the foundation, the pipes, the wiring. It holds all the behind-the-scenes info, like the title you see up in your browser tab, but you don't actually see it on the page. And finally, the body tag. This is the house itself. Everything you actually see, the text, the images, all of it lives inside the body. So we've built our house, we've got the skeleton, now it's time to actually put some furniture in it. Let's add the most common thing you'll find on any web page, words. To give our writing some structure, we use headings. The H1 tag is for your main, most important title, and then it goes all the way down to H6 for less important subheadings. The browser automatically makes H1 the biggest and boldest. And for any regular old block of text, you just wrap it in those P tags to make it a paragraph. See? Super straightforward. Now, this is a really cool and important idea. It's called semantics, which is all about meaning. See, back in the day, you'd use a B tag if you wanted text to look bold. But now, the better way is to use strong. So what's the difference? Well, strong doesn't just change the look. It tells the browser and search engines like Google that this text is actually important. The same goes for EM, which adds emphasis instead of I, which just makes things italic. It's a shift from describing how things look to describing what they mean. And here are a few more quick-fire tags for you. You can underline text, you can put a line through it, you can create that little subscript text for things like H2O, or superscript for math stuff like E equals MC squared. And that HR tag, that's just a super simple way to drop a horizontal line on your page to break things up. Okay, great. We've got text on the page. But what happens when you have more complex information to show? Well, let's see how HTML helps us get organized with lists and tables. So HTML gives us 3 main kinds of lists. You've got your ordered list, OL, which, you guessed it, gives you a numbered list. Then there's the unordered list, UL, which gives you good old bullet points. And finally, the definition list, DL, which is perfect if you're making something like a glossary with terms and their definitions. And here you can see the difference perfectly. We've got the exact same items. When you wrap them in OL tags, you get a numbered list. When you wrap them in UL tags, you get bullet points. And in both cases, that LI tag just means list item. Simple as that. But you know, for really structured data, there's nothing better than a table. Tables are designed to put information into a nice, clean grid of rows and columns. This is perfect for stuff like schedules, financial data, or really any kind of comparison. Now, let's break this down real quick. It might look like a lot of tags, but it's super logical. The table tag starts the whole thing. Then you think in rows. TR literally means table row. Inside each row, you put your cells. You use TH for a table header, that's why they're bold, and TD for a regular table data cell. You're really just building the grid one row at a time. All right, we're on the home stretch. We've got our structured, furnished house. Now it's time to add some windows to the world and connect our house to all the others out there. This is where links and images come into play. Honestly, this quote says it all. Without hyperlinks, there is no web. You just have a bunch of lonely, disconnected documents. The power to link from one page to another, that is, without a doubt, the most powerful feature of HTML. And all that magic happens with what's called an anchor tag, or just A. On its own, it doesn't do a thing. The real power comes from an attribute called href, which stands for hypertext reference. You use the href to tell the browser exactly where that link is supposed to go. That's the secret sauce right there. So you can see here, we took the words click here and wrapped them in an anchor tag. Then we set the href attribute to point to a file called welcome.html. The browser sees that and instantly turns that text into the classic, clickable blue link we all know. But of course, the web isn't just text and links. To get a picture on your page, you use the image tag, IMG. And just like the anchor tag needs its href, the image tag needs a source attribute. Source just stands for source. It tells the browser where to find the image file it's supposed to display. And that's it. In just a few minutes, we've walked through the absolute core of how the web is built. We've structured a page, we've added text, we've organized data, and we've connected it all with links and images. You now know the essential building blocks of every single website you've ever visited. So, now you get it. You understand the fundamental language that the entire web is written in, which leaves just one question. What are you going to build with it? Thanks for tuning in.